I've done it. It's taken me 49 games, but I've done it. I have found the perfect analogy for this year's Bulls team. And I'm going to tell you what it is on today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I am your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my partner, former Bulls bench mob member and Tennessee Vols, C.J. Watson. C.J., I really thought we'd be talking about a winning streak, man, but that Pacers game, yikes.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. It was pretty brutal. Big lead and lose it on the road. So hopefully they can bounce back.
21-point lead at one point. Bulls lose 116 to 110 to a shorthanded Pacers team. They did not have Tyrese Halliburton. They had lost 7 straight games. But I say again, there is an analogy to perfectly sum up this team, and I think it's too perfect. And I'm going to continue to tease it because I have to tell you about our great sponsor, BetOnline.ag. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything from NFL playoffs to pro and college basketball, UFC, MMA, and more. You will always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline, with live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. BetOnline is truly the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports, leagues, and events. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Get that 50% bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. And don't forget, we have an official shop of the network, official t-shirt of the show. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, available exclusively at shop.believe.com. There's a lot of great stuff there to support all the shows on the network, but the official shirt of our program, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, exclusively at shop.believe.com. The link is also in my Twitter bio. Okay. You've seen Charlie Brown, right?
When I was little, but I don't really remember it. Yes.
You've got Lucy with the football. And Charlie Brown's always trying to kick the football. And every time he goes to do it, she says, I'm not going to move the football. You're going to kick it this time. And she pulls it away every time. And he goes flying and falls on his butt.
Right.
That's this year's Chicago Bulls. They look like they're going to turn a corner. They're going to hold the football there. You're going to kick the football. They pull it away. And I'm sitting here falling on my butt because I fall for it every time. A 3-game winning streak followed by a bad loss. We have seen this movie too many times.
Yeah, it's definitely a great analogy. It's definitely fitting, I think. But like you said, it's just a typical Bulls this season. And hopefully, like I said, they can be very resilient and figure this thing out and turn it back around.
I've used the roller coaster. I have used, the enigma. But no, it is Lucy and the football. That's exactly what this is. It's the reverse of, and I can't believe I'm acknowledging The Godfather Part 3, but I'm acknowledging it. Just when I'm out, they pull me back in. Just when I'm in, they push me back out. It's so maddening. The fact that the Pacers didn't have Tyrese Halliburton. They had lost 7 games in a row coming in. You had a 21-point lead. Then you get outscored 70-48 in the second half. That can't happen. And I understand Goran Dragic is out. I understand Javonte Green's out. But that still cannot happen when you have a 20-point lead.
Yeah, like you said, there's no excuses. They had a 20-point lead. You can't lose when you're up by 20, especially on the road. The home team is going to make a run or a few runs here and there, but you got to withstand that. And they were up by 20, so they should have withstood that. So I think, it's definitely one of not the worst loss this season, but definitely one of those worst losses they can look back on and like they should have had this one.
And that was one thing I put in the rundown too, is like, was it the worst? Like, it kind of feels like it in the moment just because of where the Pacers were at that point. I said it the other day. It felt like they were in a free fall. Losing Halliburton, it was the equivalent to them of losing Lonzo Ball. This is what happened to the Bulls last year when they lost Lonzo. Everything fell apart. They lost Halliburton. Everything fell apart. And I was sitting there going, okay, cool, comfortable halftime lead. Things are going to be looking good. Go back home. And I just don't know. They started throwing more pressure at the Bulls. They had no answer for it. And Zach LaVine, 6 turnovers, 4 in the fourth quarter. Come on, man. You've got to hold on to the ball.
Yeah, he played pretty bad. It's one of the worst games I've probably seen him play. And I think definitely coming back from overseas, that is a tough game to play. That flight coming back over, getting back readjusted to the time change and things of that nature. Like, that's part of the business and part of the NBA schedule. But no excuses. You gotta win that game.
Like, they played one game after coming back and they won. But is there still that lingering effect when you're 2 games in, especially you come back overseas, you're at home, and then you go onto the road? Do you still feel that?
Yeah, I think so. You definitely feel it because you were overseas. I think they were there for like 5 or 6 days, maybe, or something like that. And it takes a while to get back adjusted. I know for me, it took me at least a week or 2 to get back adjusted to the time change and getting back on schedule and getting back into my routine. So it's definitely different. But like you said, there's no excuses. They should have won this game. Definitely a sizable lead, and especially one of their top players out. You gotta close that and get a win.
Oh, trust me, I'm not making it. I'm not, no excuses from me. I mean, I came in here
Right.
like, I mean, this week I didn't have much of a voice. I'm back full force and I was ready
Right.
to, go crazy. I'm like, no, we're going to be cool. Throw a couple of little Fonzies here. Fonzie's cool. We're cool. But, I'm sure it didn't help going from, Paris to Chicago. And then yes, you're only going to Indianapolis, but it's another
Right.
time zone.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're at another time zone in there. I get that effect. And maybe that did impact things, but Zach just did not look right. He's got that hand bandaged up for a while now. Again, 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter. I think that hand's bugging him a little more than he's maybe letting on, or maybe than the team's letting on.
Yeah, probably so. Like you said, I'm sure he doesn't want to, talk about it or make any excuses, but he's one of the top players on this team. He has to figure out a way to get it done, or don't dribble the ball, just catch and shoot.
That's what he's
Just
good at.
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just do what you're good at. Don't try to do anything more, anything less, and just try to figure it out. And try to, like I said, try not to make any excuses and try to be the best you can for your team that night.
Before they left for France, there was something in the post-game press conference. And I know this can be like the team will say one thing, things, you don't know a lot behind the scenes. Zach made the comment about this is what happens when you have a torn ligament.
Yeah.
The team said he doesn't have a torn ligament. Like he's
Right.
dealing, I forget what exactly the injury he's dealing. It's something with his thumb.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like a sprain or like a jam or something like that. But he made the comment about a torn ligament, and the beat writers asked the team, and they're like, he doesn't have a torn ligament.
Right.
So that's why I'm wondering, is it more serious than we know? And if that's the case, then yeah, use him as the catch and shoot guy that he's very good at. We have talked about that at length.
Right. Yeah, I definitely think so. I think throughout the season, you're going to have bumps and bruises. No one goes to the season, 100% healthy. So, I mean, Zach has to know that. He has to understand that. And I'm sure he does. And you can't make any excuses. You got to go out there and play. And at the end of the day, just because you tell the paper something, the team's not going to back you up 100% and say, oh, yeah, he has something. But I think the team's going to, cover their backs also. So you got to do the same for yourself and just go out there and be the best player you can.
And I feel like with Zach having this injury, not being able to handle the ball well, this shows the need. And I talked about this when I talked about the deadline. You need another point guard on this team.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso I guess he could fit that true point guard model just with his size, but the way he plays, he's not a true point guard. Goran Dragic could fill that spot, but again, he's out, and I don't think he's the true point guard that you need, not to the extent of like, say, Lonzo Ball, who knows? That's just the old thing with Lonzo. Who knows when he's coming back? So I feel like as the deadline comes around, I've talked about this a couple times. This shows they need a point guard, because I feel like if they had a point guard in this game, they win easily because you got someone running the show and tying everything together.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely need a leader out there, a second extension of the coach. And I think with your big three, you have Vooch, DeMar, and Zach. Those guys are definitely capable offensively, but they struggle defensively. So then that puts a burden on the other teammates and to play up to caliber defensively. And we don't have a lot of those guys who are superb defenders. So I think you got to find a point guard and maybe, like I said, trade one of the top three and get more of a bigger defender, a bigger wing, a bigger guard who can play defense and also shoot the three, which is the Bulls are lacking also.
Like they're playing through Vooch, don't get me wrong, and that's been really good. But the Pacers took him out of the equation there. He had a strong first quarter. It looked like he was going to have a big night.
Yeah,
he was out of the equation until the fourth quarter. And then finally they started getting things going. But by that time it was too little too late because the Pacers kept answering and they're bringing all the pressure. So when that happens, that shows the holes in this roster. Because I think the roster makeup, we can talk about Billy Donovan's coaching style. And we have. People have ripped him this year. I'm using that term. That's pretty much what people have done. They've criticized him. They, said maybe he's not the guy, even though he got the extension. You play the hand you're dealt. And there's a lot of holes on this roster that I think Lonzo kind of covered up because he's that talented of a point guard on both ends. So you need to fill those holes. Because I think you're 3 games under 500. The world is not ending here. Like they're not in the free fall that the Pacers were in. Now, if the Bulls had lost 7 straight games here, sell everybody, get some draft picks and rebuild this thing. But there's still, everyone talks about this being like a purgatory. And I used that term the other day. You can still be competitive if you had the right pieces.
Yeah, for sure. The front office has a lot of work to do. They got to really figure out if they want to retool, like you always say, or kind of rebuild. I definitely think this roster has enough to win, but they got to make some little minor changes here and there, and I think they can still be competitive. The East is still jam packed, and everyone is like around that Pacers, Bulls kind of schedule where they're all trying to get in that play-in spot, and I think the Bulls are still there. They still can make it, but they just got to make 1 or 2 changes to really kind of maybe get to that 7th or 8th spot. Yeah,
the Bulls right now, they're the 10th seed, half game up on Washington, which again just traded Rui Hachimura. They're a half game behind Indiana, which makes that loss even worse because you had a chance to
Right.
leapfrog Indiana and be
Yep.
the 9 seed and finally get out of that 10 spot.
Yep.
You've got Atlanta right there at 25 and 24, New York at 26 and 23, Miami at 27 and 22. So realistically, you're 4 games back of the 6 seed. Like
Yep.
you're not in an impossible spot to make the playoffs, but your margin of error is little because you are half game ahead of the Wizards and 1 game ahead of Toronto. And Toronto is looked at as a potential buyer at the trade deadline.
Yep.
Like you've got to make a move, like in the schedule sense, like with wins. And I think you've got to make a trade. If it means sacrificing one of your big three, and by that I mean DeMar or Vooch, I think you hold on to Zach. So be it.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to make some kind of smart move in this next few weeks, and one that's going to help not be steady where you are, but make you a little bit better. I think that's what they need. They gotta be sure of that defense. They got to shore up the 3-point shooting, and like you said, a point guard would be great. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's ideal.
Yeah, like we don't hear a lot of rumors with the
Yeah,
Bulls because
right,
Karnisovas and Eversley are notoriously quiet. And I mean, that's something I bring up all the time is
yeah,
they run a tight ship. And I mean, you have to respect it from like an organizational standpoint. But as a
right.
reporter, I'm sitting here going, come on, give me something.
Yeah,
Just throw a
throw a bait
cookie
out
out.
there or something,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
give me something. Like give me something to latch onto. And they don't, nothing. The
yeah,
Vooch trade is the biggest example I can point to because you never heard the Bulls come up. All of a sudden, bam, there goes Wendell Carter. Like,
yeah,
what?
right.
So,
Yeah,
I've been trying to read up on like the point guard market, and I don't know who all's even out there, but Mike Conley is a name that might have come up a
right.
couple times with Utah. I don't
Yeah,
know if the Bulls had the pieces to go get Mike Conley, but like someone of his type would probably be a
right.
good fit, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, he's definitely a speedy guard. Still can shoot three. Definitely control the team. Definitely a great vet leader out there on the court, and something the younger players and guys will look up to, and hopefully be a role model to. And like I said, they still can give you contribution on the court.
Because let me be clear, when I say I want the Bulls to get a point guard, I don't want a point guard of the future. I want someone until Lonzo can get that knee healthy
Right?
because
Yeah.
he's gonna come back at some point. Now, whether it's this year or not, I've given up hope. But he's still locked into the contract. You're not looking for your next Lonzo Ball. You're looking for someone who can fit in behind him and run the offense just as well when he's out.
Yeah, you just need an insurance policy pretty much. And someone, like I said, if it's the rest of the season, that can get you to the rest of the season and be productive. And like I said, be productive offensively and defensively. That's all you can ask for.
Exactly. And you can look at the draft, but the draft, there's so much that's gotta the Bulls right now, they don't have a first round pick because Portland, I don't think they're gonna get that pick from Portland
Right.
right now. Because Portland is right now tied for the 10 seed. So unless Portland can make the playoffs, I'm not banking on that pick because it's top 14 protected. The pick to the Magic, unless the Bulls can somehow tank and finish in the top 4, which not gonna happen, they don't have a first round pick right now. So you can't look for like a Nick Smith type out of Arkansas. You can't look for like
Right.
a Scoot Henderson type. Like you're
Right.
not going to get one of those guys.
Yeah.
That's why I think a trade, even in the offseason, if you can get a first round pick, then you can maybe point guard of the future, see what happens with Lonzo. But at the trade deadline, you're not going to find that. You need a stopgap.
Yeah. You got to find somebody who can give you some production now, because that's what you need. You need it now. I'm all about living in the present and preparing for the future. So definitely somebody who can get you some minutes and numbers now and give you good production is definitely what you need now to hopefully withstand and still be competitive in the playoffs in the East.
And that's why I don't want to put the Bulls in like a buyer, quote unquote, or seller, quote unquote. Like they need to make a big move. And I still think the two likely guys are Vooch and DeMar just because of the contract situation. It's looking like they're not going to extend Vooch. I mean, that's just read the
Right.
writing on the wall. The fact that you're almost 50 games in, we've heard no talks of extension. It goes back to the tight ship that the front office runs. But I mean, it's looking like a Vooch extension isn't likely. I don't think DeMar is going to extend. I mean, unless something amazing happens. But right now, his value is sky high. So if you can
Right.
get something for him,
Yeah.
maybe do it. I mean, I agree with you. We talked a couple weeks ago. I think you keep Caruso around. I think he's a good
Yeah.
leader. The wild card is still Kobe White. I think he's
Right.
the biggest trade chip you've got outside of DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, honestly, in my honest opinion, I for some reason I feel like they might trade Zach. I don't know why. There's been a lot of controversy with him and the coach this year. Like you said, the hand situation, him saying there's an issue, and the team says it's not an issue. I've always been on teams like that, and players who do things like that are always the ones that get traded for some reason. No matter if they're the franchise guy or not, it just happens. I don't know.
Interesting. Like even after he just signed the max extension, everything, like you think there's something to those rumors that are, he's connected. You hear his name
Right.
all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I think so. Like I said, it's just the controversy with him and the team. I think a lot of teams don't like that. A lot of organizations want to be kind of drama free and stuff like that. Like I said, sometimes drama is good for the team in certain situations, but when the player is going back and forth with the coach or going back and forth with the organization, saying one thing and the organization saying another, it never ends well.
I mean, you've got a great point there. And that turns into a bigger discussion then. Okay, let's say if Zach LaVine goes on the trade market, and we don't know for sure, this is pure speculation. This is us
Right. Yeah.
filling time. But
Yeah.
if Zach's on the trade market and you end up moving him, who's your guy?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you go with a team of guys. You got DeMar. I mean, yeah, you still got DeMar. You still got
Mhm.
Vooch and whoever you get back from Zach. So, and hopefully, one of these young guys that can step up and be something of a caliber of Zach. And like I said, just step into that role and hopefully just keep getting production, keep developing those young guys, and hopefully they'll pan out to be something great.
Because the interesting thing here too is Patrick Williams is turning into a stud before our eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you
Right.
watch him play. He got his first double of the year the other night. He's playing aggressive. He's a
Yeah.
hell of a 3-point shooter. Didn't see
Right.
that coming. Like who'd have thought Patrick Williams would be your best 3-point shooter? But
Right.
with him playing well, I feel like there's a little bit of freedom there. Like, okay, you've got him playing well. Vooch, obviously walking double. DeMar is your go-to
Yeah.
guy. You don't have a
Yeah.
point guard. And if Zach is having there's issues there, we've heard about the benching earlier in the year is still, there are lingering effects from that, the
Right.
hand, the knee. Maybe that's a possibility. I think you're onto something.
Yeah, no, just my guess. I just watch and I just observe, and then I play a little bit and been on a couple teams, but I don't know anything. I just guess.
Hey, you put your GM hat on whenever you want. Like if you want to be GM
Right.
CJ, I mean, I don't have a target in mind, like a landing spot for him. I don't have any of that, but like that'd be a big swing if they did that.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be putting all your chips in the middle of the table saying, no, we're going to move on. We're going to move on from the guy we just gave a ton of money to. And
right,
I don't know. That wouldn't be a reset.
right.
I don't think that would be the start of like a rebuild or a tear down,
Yeah.
but it would be an interesting retool because I'd be very curious to see what kind of return you could get for a guy like Zach.
Yeah, I think I think he has a high value. Like I said, the money has to match up and all those kind of things. And like I said, it'd be a perfect example for a guy like Patrick Williams to come in and step up and fill that kind of role and just expand on his growth and see how he pans out.
Well, and that's the biggest thing with Patrick Williams' development outside of the injuries is the fact that he's on a team with two alphas, and you can make it three alphas with the way
Right,
Vooch can, he can be ball dominant, he can pass, he can rebound, and
right.
there people always criticize P. Will for making that extra pass, but when
Yeah,
you're supporting cast as Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Nikola Vucevic,
yeah.
and Kobe White at times, who could blame him?
Yeah, you got to make the extra pass. If a guy like Zach gets traded, he just steps in and fills that role. Now he's more aggressive, he's more dominant, and he's not looking to make that pass. We know he needs to score. The team needs him to score, and that's what he's going to do.
Because the more I'm thinking about this, the more that would be an investment in Patrick Williams.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would
for
be the
sure.
organization, the biggest vote of confidence that they have given Patrick Williams yet would
Yeah,
be we're going to move on from the guy that we built around, the guy that had input on bringing in Vooch and DeRozan
right.
and Lonzo and Caruso,
Yeah,
and we're going to move on from him. And you're going to be one of our focal points going forward. I mean, it's a lot of pressure, but
yeah, yeah.
I could
Like I
see it with the
said,
way he's been playing.
yeah, it happens. Like there's no for me. I feel like there's no loyalty with organizations and players and stuff like that. So it doesn't matter if they give you a whole bunch of money, they'll still trade you the next year. So I definitely think it's definitely a thought just to go out there. But like I said, it's just my guess. I don't know.
I mean, that could be the source of all these rumors. I mean, you hear Zach all the time in these. Like he's
Right.
eligible to be traded. Him, Bradley Beal, like anyone who's got that. What was it? It was like the clause in their contract that said they signed this extension, they couldn't be traded until X date. That
Yeah.
date is passed.
Yeah.
So
December 15th, I think.
yeah, it was like either December or January, one of the
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
But like you couldn't get traded before that date. Well, now that's passed. Like it's like an all bets are off thing. And I go back to the standings because the standings tell a lot. 10 seed in the East, half game up on the 11th seed, half game behind the 9 seed, 2 games behind the 8 seed. It's that jam packed. I
Right.
mean, AK has said the goal is to win, be competitive, and make the playoffs. If you can, if you can move Zach and make the playoffs, that speaks to the type of coach Billy Donovan is, in my opinion, because you'd be losing one of your top scoring options, and yet you can still find a way to be competitive.
Yeah, for sure. Billy Donovan, gets a lot of credit for putting, I don't know, I guess not putting this roster together, but just managing this team, I guess, and trying to get the best out of him with what he's been given. So I definitely think he would get a lot of credit for that. And then also just the players in the front office. So, depends on what they would get back for a guy like, like Zach. And typically if that did happen, I think it'd be something spectacular for them to do. And I think they can win a series.
I don't think you don't want to settle if you move on
Oh,
from
yeah.
Zach LaVine. Like it needs to be a good return. I don't know what that
Right.
return would be
Right.
necessarily. I don't know if you'd get like a first rounder this year, maybe depending on the team, depending on the value of the pick, how badly they want to win right now.
Yep.
But like maybe a role player potentially. Again, it depends on the landing spot too. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I could go into the trade machine and do a bunch of trades, but that I don't feel like doing that.
Right.
Then
Yeah.
I start daydreaming and I start swinging for the fences and like, oh, what would it take for the Bulls to get Giannis? Like,
Right.
I'm one of
Yeah.
those. I get greedy with the trade
Right.
machine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So I mean, the general sentiment here, based on you read the tea leaves, you read the rumors from the beat reporters, the national guys. It seems like something's coming. We have talked about how quiet it is right now. We are
Yeah.
2 weeks away as we're recording this. The biggest trade that's happened is Rui Hachimura. It is too quiet right now, don't you think?
Yeah, I think a big splash is coming. Definitely, not a lot of activity has happened. A few trades, but none of real big significance. I think the Lakers did win that trade, obviously,
I
but
agree.
I think something in the next couple of weeks is gonna be big, and we'll just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, and I mean, usually when this happens, something big is coming, like something's in the works that we're going to be,
Yeah,
recording this by Twitter open, like, whoa, that just happened. Like, I
right.
fully always prepared for that. But, February
Yeah,
9th is the big day. I really think you're going to hear some chatter in the next week.
mhm,
Then that week
yeah,
of, I think you're going to start seeing the domino effect. You're going to see this go here. You're going to see this go here, this go there. It's going
yeah,
to be like everything's going to start falling into place. And I mean, I feel like windy right now. It's like, what? Why did they make that? That's this trade. What are they doing with that? Like, that's what we're going to be
right.
dissecting here with the
Yeah,
trade
yeah,
deadline. It's like, okay, why did they trade that guy? What's happening in Utah? What's happening in Chicago? Like,
yeah,
I'm excited. This is one of my favorite times of years, the trade deadline.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah, for
all
sure.
kinds of
Everyone,
possibilities.
yeah, everyone's GM's hat is gonna go on now. Everyone's gonna think they're a GM or president and thinking for the future. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to see what happens, what moves are going to be made, and what directions teams are going to go in and why. I guess just guessing.
Be very curious to see how much like traffic the trade machine gets on ESPN. Like how many people are going into
Right.
that these next couple weeks versus like any other time in the year because you
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
fans that are daydreaming. You've got with the Bulls, I don't want them to sell everybody, but you've got to do something and shake up the you got to shake the etch a sketch. Start not start over. Just get yourself in a position to be in position by making a
Yeah.
move. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a guy. It's nature of the business.
Yeah. Like I said, you got to sacrifice people. You got to make resolutions, and just I think it's going to happen. And I think Bulls don't need to change much. Just one or two pieces adding, and they will be definitely still competitive and maybe even better.
Yeah, the calls to blow it up don't need to happen. You're 3 games
Yeah.
under 500.
Yeah.
You
Not
are
yet.
you are not the Detroit Pistons who are 12 and 37. You are not the Charlotte Hornets, which how about Charlotte 13 and 36?
Yeah.
That was a team I thought was going to be in the play-in conversation this year.
Right.
Like you're not the Spurs 14 and 34. You're not you're not the Lakers 23 and 26. Like I guess you kind of are because you're 20, 22 and 25. So the math checks out. But like, Lakers are outside the play-in tournament is my point.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're in a decent spot right now. You don't have to sell everybody. I don't want to put them in buyers or sellers. They're just going to make a move and try to get better. If that makes them a
Yeah.
buyer, it makes them a buyer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just keep the faith, keep steady, and hold on to the tracks of the train that you're going on. And like I said, one or two moves can push you over that hump and make you competitive. And that's what you want. That's where you want to be. You just want to be in the hunt, be in the mix, and anything can happen after that.
And that's exactly what they are. They are in the mix right now. I've read you the standings. Like
Yep.
they're as in the mix as you can get as they're getting ready to play their 50th game of the year. We talked before the show started. This year's flying by. I
Yep.
mean, game number 50 is Thursday night at Charlotte. Then you're at Orlando. Then you're back home against the Clippers, the Hornets, the Blazers, the Spurs. I'm not even going to say the opportunities are there because I don't want to be going to kick the football.
Right.
Like,
The opportunities are always there. They just got to take advantage of
right.
them.
Right. Don't pull the football away from me this time.
Right.
Okay. Let me kick it. Don't let me fall on my butt when I come on there and talk into this microphone, because I want to come
Right.
on here Monday when we record Monday for Tuesday's show. I want to be in a good mood. I don't want to be
Right.
coming out here and I've got my voice back. I want to be happy.
Got to keep
It,
Nick happy.
please, please. There's only so much coffee in the world to keep me
Right.
happy. I want some wins, damn it. I want some wins. And again, with the deadline is February 9th. The Bulls play a game that day too on TNT. Very interesting. If something happens on deadline day and they're playing on TNT that night, I don't know. That's the stuff
Yeah,
that's the stuff
I've seen players get traded on
oh yeah.
during the game, so
Oh yeah.
it's not unexpected or unlikely. So it definitely can happen.
Oh, I'm on full hug watch. Like, hug watch it's happening. We are 2 weeks out. Yeah, I'm
Right.
watching games. I mean, I was watching the Warriors game last night. And I don't know how active they're going to be, but I'm on hug watch. Someone gets
Right.
subbed out. I'm watching for hugs. I'm watching for
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
handshakes. Oh yeah. No,
Going back
we're
to
in
the
hug
locker
watch season.
room.
Yep. Yep. Oh yeah. Except when you throw your mouthpiece and get ejected. Sup stuff.
Yeah, I didn't understand that tech or ejection at all.
I didn't know what happened. I saw you through his mouthpiece. I'm like, oh hey, that makes sense. Okay, I don't know why you're doing that in a close game, but
I think he was just mad that the shot that his teammate took, but still, I don't.
yeah,
Even in the New Orleans game, the guy got the coach got a tech and got thrown out.
yeah.
I don't understand that either. I think the refs are just too trigger happy with the techs this year.
I love a good rush show late at night. Love a good rush show. I watch Big Ten basketball, man. I'm used to that.
Right.
I get paid to watch the Big Ten. You want to watch a rush show? Watch Iowa, Michigan. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Right.
yeah. Bo Borowski's gone too. That's the worst part. That's crazy. I mean, the fact that you know him by name.
Right.
But you got a few games here. You can make a move in the standings. I think a move is coming at some point. I will be shocked if they stand pat at the trade deadline. Whether it's Kobe White gets traded, whether it's a big swing like Zach gets traded, something feels like it's going to happen. I'll be floored if they very quiet.
Yeah, I will too. But like I said, it wouldn't surprise me. But like I said, it just it would be shocking because they definitely need some improvement in certain areas, more than one. So they gotta make a move.
If you're 3 games over 500, you don't need to, but you're 3 games under, you got to do something.
Yeah, you got to.
That doesn't mean send someone to the G League. No, that means send someone to another team. That means get something for somebody.
Right.
But we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by betonline.ag. Use that promo code BLEAV, 50% welcome bonus. If you want to take the Bulls against the spread, feel free. You can take the other team on the money line. I don't care. 50% welcome bonus. I'm not telling you what I'm going to do over at BetOnline. And buy our shirt, Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance, shop.believe.com. CJ, another fun show. Talk about some hypotheticals. This is going to be a very crazy couple weeks, I feel like. I don't know when it'll start, but it feels like the storm is coming.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. We'll be all tuned into Twitter and Instagram and watching the Woj bombs to see if anything happens.
I have turned off my screen time notifications because I don't need my phone telling me how long I spent on Twitter these next couple weeks, because trade season is in full force. Please, I want more moves. I want the give me all the chaos. Give me all of it. I'm excited.
I like the drama. Yeah, I like it.
Yes. It's like a reality TV show. Give me more. I don't watch a lot of reality TV, but give me more of this. I want to see what happens. But we'll have more for you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend. We'll see you back here on Tuesday.